You say something and it hangs in the air. 3 hours, 3 days go by, and there you are, still stuck in that room, still replaying that moment. You run through every detail: what you said, how they responded, what you wished you'd said instead. The conversation ended out loud, but in your mind, it's still running. Nobody really tells you why this happens. People like to chalk it up to anxiety or insecurity, but that's only part of the story. What's really going on is a lot more nuanced, and honestly, a lot more human than you've probably been led to believe. You know how it is. You're doing something random, like making dinner or brushing your teeth, and suddenly, boom, a memory hits. That one sentence you blurted out that didn't land right, the awkward silence that stretched a bit too long, the way their face shifted for half a second before they moved the conversation along. Your mind grabs onto it and just won't let go. It replays the moment, edits it, runs a version where you're smarter, funnier, or where you said something that drew them closer instead of pushing them away. There's a name for this. Psychologists call it rumination, repetitive, self-focused thinking. That label never quite captures the feeling, though. Rumination makes it sound passive, like you're just stewing, but it's so much more. It feels like you're in a courtroom in your head. One moment you're defending yourself. Next, you're prosecuting your own choices. Then you're the judge, weighing all the evidence, and the trial never ends.
So why does the brain do this? Why can't it just let a conversation fade into the past and move on? There's something fascinating here. Neuroscience tells us that your brain doesn't work like a recorder. It doesn't store entire conversations, word for word. Instead, it hoards meaning. It keeps track of social cues: who welcomed you, who distanced themselves, who made you feel seen, and who didn't. Somewhere deep inside, there's an ancient system running quietly for hundreds of thousands of years. Its job? To track your standing within the group. Anthropologists call this sociometer theory. The idea is that your self-esteem isn't just about how you see yourself. It's more like a gauge, giving you real-time feedback on how accepted you are. When a conversation ends with ambiguity, an uncertain pause, a confusing look, a reply that could mean anything, your sociometer doesn't get a clear reading. That unresolved signal stays active, endlessly searching for closure. That's what those mental replays are. It's not a sign of weakness. It's your internal threat detection system, left hanging without resolution. But there's more beneath the surface. Most people never reach this layer. When you replay a conversation, you're not just searching for clarity, you're trying to rewrite what it means about who you are. Social psychology calls this identity negotiation. Every interaction is a subtle exchange about your identity. When you speak, you're presenting a version of yourself, hoping it'll be recognized and validated. When that recognition doesn't arrive, the response is lukewarm, the room doesn't react, the topic shifts, you're left with an unresolved identity question. Did they see the real me? Did I show up the way I wanted? Do they picture me the same way I see myself? The replay is your mind's attempt to answer those questions. It's searching for the moment you get to re-edit your self-presentation, to find the version where you come across as you truly are. It's not vanity or neurosis. It's your mind fighting to protect the coherence of your self-image. The cruel twist? The replay almost never solves anything. What you crave, confirmation, resolution, closure, can't come from inside your head. You're using internal evidence to answer an external question. It's like staring into a mirror, trying to judge if it's reflecting accurately. The loop keeps going, demanding attention, never finding what it needs. Cognitive science calls this the completion compulsion, the brain's relentless drive to close unfinished loops.
There's a well-known effect called the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished tasks refuse to fade. They remain intense in your working memory until they're complete. That's why a conversation that feels unfinished keeps demanding your focus.
insisting on resolution you can never actually provide. So, what can you do? You don't have to erase the thinking altogether. Your brain's going to do what it does, but you don't need to surrender all your power to the loop. Step 1. Interrupt the premise. Most people try to force the thoughts away. Just stop thinking about it, then find themselves thinking about it even more. It's exhausting, and it doesn't work. Research by Daniel Wegner proved this. When you try not to think about something, like a white bear, you only end up thinking about it more. Instead, try to just notice when the loop starts. There's the loop. Not like a failure, but almost like a scientist observing something interesting. You aren't the replay. You're the person watching it happen. That little bit of distance, that's the start of your way out. Step 2. Untangle facts from the meaning you've attached. The replay mashes together two things: what actually happened and what you think it means about you. But the fact is, those are different. The facts, you said something. They responded in a way you couldn't read. That's all you know for sure. What your mind adds, that they think you're weird, that you ruined the vibe, that they lost respect for you, those are interpretations, not facts. And here's the kicker. Our brain almost always lands on a harsher story than reality. That's negative attribution bias. When we lack information, we fill the gap with self-critical conclusions. We assume it's about us. We assume it's bad. We assume it's permanent. None of those are carved in stone. They're just your brain rushing to complete the story with the safest, most protective ending it knows. Step 3. Ask yourself what version of yourself the loop is really guarding. What are you trying to defend? Usually, social rumination hides a belief about who you must be to fit in. Smart enough, interesting enough, effortless enough. The loop keeps running because, deep down, your sense of belonging feels tied to a performance, and you're not sure the performance worked. But belonging that hinges on performing isn't genuine belonging. It's just auditioning. No amount of rumination will make you feel secure in a world where your worth depends on constant evaluation. The real work isn't replaying conversations better. It's slowly loosening your grip on the belief that a single moment, a single exchange, has the power to define you. It doesn't. It never did. Here's how all of this fits together. Think of your sense of self as a signal. Clear, steady, always running. Every interaction, every conversation is a burst of interference. Sometimes the signal comes through strong. Sometimes it's full of static. A pause, a weird look, an ambiguous response. The mental replay is your mind's way of trying to clear out the static and get back to clarity. But the truth is, the signal never lived inside those conversations. It's in you, rooted in your own values, grounded in who you are when no one's watching, tied to the self beneath all the performances. The more solid your signal, the less static bleeds in from the outside. You replay conversations because you care, because connection matters to you, because you want to be genuinely understood by the people you let close to you. That's not a flaw. That's one of the most human parts of who you are. But your worth was never waiting in someone else's reply, never sitting on how well a conversation went. You don't need to replay things to know you deserve to be there. You did. Always. Let the moment go. Let it end.